Next morning, pulled all the little tabs out, and a lot of those are reusable. I don't know how. I do know why I ordered 2,000, because I expected to just tile the whole wall and all at once. We're gonna need these, boys. Clearly not. So a lot of them are reusable. There's gonna be a whole box we just don't even touch. That's okay. It's one of those where it's $20, right? Who cares? It's not that bad. Better to have them and not need them, right? It's like guns. Anyway, yeah, so we can see grout line's looking great. Just eyeballing that line, and we can tell we're still level, and things are looking really good. There's a couple spots, like high spot here, where stuff squeezed through. I've got a little grout knife that'll deal with that. I've got a little bit of lippage down here. The rest of them feel really good. Not like they're nice and flat. So at least I got that going for me. Still got the plastic on these on the upper part. So I think I'll have to pull out that before we do grout, but I might as well leave them in place for doing the rest of the wall, right, in case stuff drips down. So we'll leave the plastic on for the rest of them. It's just a matter of making sure I set aside some time every morning and whittle away at it. So try and get this niche ready. I want to get the whole inside, get the tile up. So then depending on where the final height of the tile is, I can adjust the Rondeck I've got in the corner over there accordingly and make sure that the corners are nice and tight. So got the laser in line with our grout line. We have these two pieces are for, here and there. So we won't worry about them, but we will know that the first row inside the niche will be this size, right? It'll be one of these pieces. And we really just want to see with this in line compared to this edge, where does it need to be cut to have an 1/8 inch gap? There's gonna be 7 rows inside there. So with this being the first one, there will be 4 like this and 3 on the opposite side. So we'll go ahead and figure out what we need to cut to get all those ready. And then we'll have to decide, we'll have to figure out cuts for these and for these. So we'll probably put these this way. And we could actually continue the pattern just like a mini version, but I'm not sure. Maybe we'll put some thought into that, on whether I want just 2 flat pieces, because I think it'll be nicer to set things on if they're flat like that. But if it's going to look funny, because it doesn't look like the wall itself is wrapping through, maybe we will cut them and put grooves in there. I don't know. So here's the pieces, 3 and 4 that'll go up in there. What I'm going to do is try to line, we want the grout lines to line up left to right. Finally, getting to the more stressful parts, right? So cut a bunch of tile yesterday morning and was like, I probably don't have time before work to put it in. And today, I've been at it an hour and a half. Wait, what time is it? 11:30. Yeah, about an hour and a half. Just cutting up like this little pile of stuff, getting things ready to go in. It just takes so much longer than you think it's going to take. So back and forth measuring, trying to make sure it's right. I hope these aren't too narrow, et cetera, et cetera. So plan of action is to get an even smaller batch of thinset mixed up. We're going to do, I think last time we did a single quart with 8.3 something pounds. So this time we're going to try half a quart with 4.15. We'll math it out the right way. But yeah, we're going to try an even smaller batch that should fit in one of these mixed buckets, make it a little easier to deal with up in this area. Yeah, and then while it's doing its 10-minute rest between mixes, I'll get my aluminum blade onto the chop saw because we're going to do the niche. And then I think the right order to do this, because we don't have these pieces cut yet, and we don't have these pieces cut. We have everything else, right? Top, bottom, side, all of it ready to go. So I think we get the back of the niche goes on first. So we'll get those pieces up and in place. The Rondeck needs to go underneath these tiles. So if we get the back on and we get the sides and the top on, because we don't care if this has lippage or isn't quite perfect, nobody's ever going to even see it. You'd have to bend down all funny and it just doesn't matter. But this one we want to make sure is nice and flush. Back part's in. I had trimmed the top a little bit, which is understandable. The bottom's a little tighter than I want it to be. Too late, whatever. So any of these areas that I hit earlier, I need to make sure to go, make sure they're not skinning over, right? So I touch them, stuff comes off on my finger. It's still sticky. It'll bond. I'm still gonna run over them again before I put tile up, just to be sure. Now, dilemma, right? If I pull these out, this stuff can risk sagging down. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is put the side tiles on by back buttering them, and then just kind of angle these into the wall to keep them spaced. I think that'll work. So we'll see. If I don't like how it feels and doesn't seem like it's covering well enough, then we'll look at a different option. Okay, super tedious. It's been almost an hour, maybe a little more than an hour since I started. And having to make cuts and corrections, and then somehow I went to trim these. This side's fine and this one's too short, so they must have been wrong in the first place because I took the same amount off. You can see up here there's going to be a huge grout section back there, but I just don't care about that one, right? I don't care. I found out about the problem and we'll make sure it's correct on the bottom. What that means is I'll wait to put these bottom tiles in until tomorrow, right? I'm not going to go down and try to cut this junk today. Well, maybe. We'll see how it gets at the end. But for now, we need to get moving on the framing and make sure that our stuff doesn't start skinning over and getting crappy on us. So, yeah, I feel rushed. I don't like it. It's just super obnoxious, right? This is why people hire it. Yeah, I'm going to like it in the end, but right now it's really, really frustrating. I think it's more that I know that I have to leave for work in an hour. So I need to rush through this. And if something's not right, I either have to throw everything, toss all that in the garbage and do it again tomorrow. All right. So next thing, I need to measure how wide this piece is going to be to make sure my verticals are nice. Now these corner pieces have a little bit of radius to them, but just barely, right? So see, so we're like a 16th, going to be like a 16th of an inch shorter than the edges to make it this part flush with the tile, right? So we'll just measure tile to tile on the top and the bottom, make sure it's going to be relatively square. I think we do have a little bit of wiggle room, and it won't look too stupid, but because we're not mitering the corners. So yeah, let's get to it. So we got our two pieces. That chop saw did a great job. Like, it's if this wasn't cut so goofy, right, like this one right here, where you'd have trouble telling which one's a factory cut and which one's not. It didn't chip anything. I mean, it's anodized, so it shouldn't chip, but it makes me feel good about the painted stuff we got for the curb, that it won't chip the paint off. So we got our two pieces here which go there and sandwich this on. Now these little blocks go basically clockwise, right? So the one that goes down this side will hold this. This one will hold this. So we need this piece on the left when we install this this part to make sure that it's correct. And what they do, they just put a little thinset on it and slip it in the end. So we'll mark this up like we're putting our tile down. We'll press this in place, squishing it all together. I've got this in here for a reference. These will sit up a little higher once they're on. So we just want to make sure that we're not too high or low compared to that, and things will be fine. If anything, we want to be a tiny bit lower so water has no trouble running out. Check it out. My math was right. So we'll have, looks like about a perfect 1/8 of an inch gap. It looks pretty good here. It's about flush, so when that goes in, it'll be a little bit up, which is fine, because then it'll, like I said, it'll roll off the edge. It won't just sit in there. So maybe we will go up a little tiny. Hey, you get back in there. Yeah, this stuff, like, if I didn't have these spacers to hold it up, this whole thing will just like sag. This glass tile, I don't know if it's too heavy for the surface area or what, but it just wants to slide. It doesn't come off, right? It sticks to the wall nice, but it wants to slide down. Maybe I need to mix the thinset up thicker. I don't know. If anybody knows, throw it in the comments. If any of the four of you that watch my videos. So we have the other piece for the top that's good to go. So we'll measure our vertical, we'll get those two pieces in. We'll slap the whole frame up. Then we need to do the cuts for this side, which whatever, I don't care as much about those as I do about quickly getting these in. So now that we have these two here, once the frame's on, we can measure and cut these pairs and do this section of wall. There's that frame in place. It's really tedious to get these corners to line up the way that I like them. Like even this one's like, right, if I want this to come in, you know, this can float around. They move a lot. You barely touch them and they just start wiggling on you. So I think I need to get this tile going so that I have time to fine tune it as I put the tile down and make sure it's not going to like bow out goofy and do anything stupid. Now, I did see a video where a guy, and I wondered why he did it, and maybe this is why, he put his tile up first and then he slid this down in between it. I feel like that's the wrong way to do it, because if you're pushing it down in, you're going to push it out of the way and it won't get into these grooves the way it's supposed to. So we're going to stick with what we got, and then we'll get moving on it. So okay, plenty of thin set left. I need 7 of whatever size those tiny slivers on the end are going to be, and I need 1 of these and 1 of whatever their buddy is, right? So this size, 1 of these. So that size, 7 of this size, and I can get through that top row done. If I can get that done, I'll be good to go. I've got 15 minutes before I need to realistically leave to work, half an hour before I leave to work, and I get there just in the nick of time. Realistically, nobody's going to care if I'm 10 minutes late. They're just not, because if they harp on me about it, suddenly I can't come in on the weekend. I got busy. Sorry, guys. There's 16 hours of work that you don't get. So, yeah, not going to stress too much about the work thing, but I'm not going to jibber jabber too much longer either. Let's get the rest of this shit in and call it a day. Well, it's about how I imagined. It's 1:50, so I'll say the drive-through. Hopefully they aren't too long of a line. I was able to kind of shuffle this up more, shimmed it a little more to get the gap better at the top, but like huge lip there, and I can push it in, but it doesn't stay, right? And like some of these aren't 1/8, so we use tape to hold them up. This thing is just so finicky, and I don't know if I push these in place and put tape on it, is that going to be enough to make it line up, or is it just going to fucking suck? So really I'm not happy with the way this trim works out. Granted, if my wall was perfectly flat, it would probably be a little easier. Of course, the example that Schluter uses is with their niche that's pre-built and has perfect edges, right? So of course it sits nice. Junk like me, it's gonna have I don't know. Maybe it'll be fine once it's done and cleaned up. And maybe the more I'm messing with it here, the worse off it's going to be. I don't know. It seems like if they had a leg on each side, so the whole, like you put the whole thing together and then put it in place as one big frame, that would be better, because there's nothing to make that stay where it's at, other than if I was to goof around in here while it's setting up and make sure that it's not sticking over. So I guess, what the hell am I supposed to go over that exposed aluminum edge with to make it not shiny when this is done? Because not a huge fan. Not really, as far as this whole idea that the Schluter stuff and all this Curdy stuff is good for somebody doing their own shit. I'm not impressed, right? This is just going to look, to me, it's going to look like garbage. Maybe I'm too much of a perfectionist, but I guess I'm going to try to put tape on these because I got to fucking go to work. I can't sit around and watch it, babysit it. All right, well, we're going to try the tape, and I put some gently folded paper, not really creased back there, to kind of spring it out. And it feels like it's doing okay. I don't know. Yeah. It feels chintzy, right? Even though it's really nice aluminum, and it'll probably look good when it's cleaned up and there's grout in there, but it's kind of ghetto. I don't like it. Right now I don't like it, but right now I don't like anything, right? Because this is tedious. It's taking way longer than it should. I'm 4 hours today to put just that section together. It's completely unreasonable. I think it's just a fault of my tile saw is really slow, and I'm not going to go spend hundreds of dollars on a nice one, right? And I got a lot of cuts to make. So we're going to have the same cuts going on with the next niche. And once we get to this wall, hopefully that just goes quicker. But even mixing up that small batch, I've got quite a bit left. So I'm going to walk out, smear it on the fire pit, and then take a quick shower before I go to work late. It's going to be great.